It's Sunday morning, coming up to midday. I'm feeling rough. I was up till 6 AM watching the fight. I didn't go to sleep in between. I drank a lot of alcohol. That's on the beers, on the wine, on the gin. I got about 3 hours sleep lying on the floor, and I'm now up and I've got work to do today, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty rough, to be honest, so apologies in advance if that comes across in this video. I watched the fight last night with two people who thought Manny Pacquiao was going to win. I showed them my pre-fight prediction video before the fight, and it was a prediction video that they strongly disagreed with. That was echoed by a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans in the comments section who said that it was going to be an easy work for Pacquiao, a knockout, I knew nothing about boxing, etc, etc. Anyway, I feel somewhat vindicated. In my pre-fight video I said I viewed it as a relatively easy fight for Floyd. I said I was going to score, I could see him winning by 8 rounds to 4 or 9 rounds to 3. I said that I thought the size difference would be a really relevant factor. I said that Mayweather was looking like he was in Terminator mode, and it wouldn't surprise me if he came forward a bit more, was a bit more aggressive than we've seen him in recent fights. And I also made a point that I think Manny Pacquiao is slightly predictable. There's a lot of footage out there on how to beat Manny Pacquiao. Guys like Tim Bradley, Juan Manuel Marquez, these are guys who've had success against Manny Pacquiao. And there's so much footage and tapes available of how to have that success against him. And Floyd is obviously a far more advanced operator than either Bradley or Marquez. So, yeah, in many ways I feel my prediction was very vindicated. I scored the fight 9 rounds to 3. I had 2 swing rounds. I could happily accept 10 rounds to 2. I could happily accept 8 rounds to 4. Essentially, I think people who are suggesting that this fight was a draw or that Pacquiao won the fight just don't really understand boxing. It's not about who comes forward. It's not about Pacquiao landing flurries of, throwing 20 shots, when only 1 or 2 are landing. Boxing is a game of effective aggression. It's a game of hitting and not getting hit. It's a game of landing the most accurate shots. And if you look at the CompuBox figures, and I'm not someone who relies on CompuBox, but I think Floyd landed something like 60, 70 more punches. I think Floyd's accuracy, he landed nearly half his power punches. I mean, it was a remarkable performance defensively. It was a remarkable performance in terms of his accuracy. And I think Floyd even threw more punches. I mean, fundamentally, Floyd completely took Manny Pacquiao's game away from him. Pacquiao, we all thought he was going to come in, be hugely high volume, hugely aggressive, but Mayweather didn't allow him to be. And the reason Mayweather didn't allow him to be was subtle. It was because of the defensive movement, it was because of the lateral movement, it was because of the angles, it was because of the jab. Essentially, he didn't allow Pacquiao to set himself. He presented a difficult, awkward, moving target that was hard for Pacquiao to unload. And even in the 2 or 3 occasions Pacquiao was able to flurry on Floyd, Floyd, he's got that sort of shoulder roll type defence. He's like the Matrix on the ropes. And it's remarkable if you watch those flurries back in slow motion how ineffective and inaccurate Pacquiao's attempts were. And the way Mayweather was able to wheel around the ropes, wheel off the ropes and put distance and spin Pacquiao around. There were a few rounds, and the 2 people I watched the fight with both know about boxing, but I would say both of them watch quite a bit less boxing than I do. And there were a few rounds that I scored easy to Mayweather, like easy. And they were like, no, it's a Pacquiao round, it's a Pacquiao round. Look how many punches he was throwing when Mayweather was up against the ropes. And I think people who have been watching boxing for a long time, people who really understand boxing, I hope to class myself as one of those people, can understand that the fact that Manny Pacquiao was throwing a load of punches sporadically wasn't enough. You know, Mayweather was pushing the pace a bit more than we've seen him previously. His jab was more effective than Pacquiao's jab. His right cross lead was effective. About halfway through the fight, I made the comment that he should start trying to implement the left hook a bit more, and I felt he did that effectively in the second half of the fight. You know, essentially Pacquiao would try and position him in the ropes, Mayweather would pivot, spin away and counter with the left hook. Really, really effective, really nice to watch. I scored Pacquiao, I scored the first 3 rounds to Mayweather easy. Scored Pacquiao the 4th, Mayweather the 5th, Pacquiao the 6th. So about halfway, you got the impression it could be a competitive fight, you know. As I say, I had Mayweather 4-2 up. The people I was watching it had 3-3. I think the people I was watching it with scored Manny Pacquiao the 2nd, which I thought was ridiculous, but anyway. So, you know, competitive in the first half of the fight. But the second half, for me, Floyd really pulled away. I can see a sound reason that Floyd won every round between 7 and 12. On my scorecard, I charitably gave Pacquiao one of the rounds that I thought was close. I forget exactly which round. I think it was the 10th, could easily have been the 9th. But for me, Mayweather was starting to cruise, and he turned on the gas a bit, particularly in the 11th. He looked to throw more power shots. Really, really good performance from Mayweather. Dominant, I thought. For me, Manny Pacquiao, he did slightly better than the likes of Canelo, Guerrero. You know, as I say, I scored him 3 rounds, slightly more than I'd give the likes of Canelo and Guerrero. I scored Marcus Maidana 4 rounds in the first Floyd Maidana fight. I scored him 2 rounds in the second fight. So I still think that Marcus Maidana was the fighter who's caused Floyd the most difficulties in recent years. And I think the reason for that essentially was Marcus Maidana's size, you know, and that was such a telling factor and one that I constantly made reference to. You know, Mayweather's advanced reach, I think he had a 5-inch reach advantage, and that was so relevant in controlling the range. It was so relevant, you know, that jab was like a measuring stick. And essentially, that range was so pivotal, because Pacquiao was trying to rush in early and trying to catch Floyd, and Floyd's so, you know, he's got good reactions, and he was just able to sort of glide back, because he had so much reach, he could anticipate and just take a step back, move it a bit to the side. It was really, really effective. Pacquiao, he didn't have any other strings to his bow. There was not the versatility there that I like to see. You know, Plan A wasn't working, so he didn't switch to Plan B. He didn't sort of have any other tools to his armoury. I think Floyd showed that. Floyd counterpunched. Floyd came forward and jabbed. Floyd fought off the ropes. You know, there was just a bit more of a well-rounded performance there from Floyd. And essentially, I think this performance represents a defensive masterclass, and it's another one of those things where Floyd's positivity and accuracy, and combined with the amount of inaccuracy from Pacquiao, just made this a wide margin and relatively easy win in my opinion. Pacquiao maybe had more power out of the two, but he didn't look like he carried the same physical power threat as Maidana, to my eye anyway. The other thing is Pacquiao, you know, obviously he had these intentions to be the volume puncher and to be the out-and-out aggressive fighter. But for me, as I say, Mayweather's angles, Mayweather's movement, Mayweather's defence put him off. And when with that the case, Pacquiao didn't really take the risks. You know, he didn't. You know, he kind of stayed out of range a bit more, and he kind of didn't fully engage like Maidana did. Yeah, I hear a lot of people bitching and moaning like Floyd was running, Floyd was jabbing, you know, Floyd didn't come to fight. I honestly think if you're someone saying that, you're either so blinded by hatred for Floyd Mayweather and your love for Manny Pacquiao, or you're not really a boxing fan. I mean, for me, boxing is the sweet science. It's hit and not get hit. It's about, you know, technique. You know, Floyd's performance was textbook, I thought. If you're somebody who's criticising Floyd, you're either blinded by hate or you need to start watching MMA. Like, you're not a boxing fan. And look, I try and separate personal things from reality. You know, Floyd Mayweather's probably not the nicest guy in the world. He's obsessed with money. There's things in his past that are dubious at best. Pacquiao comes across like this lovely, nice, charming guy. But that's irrelevant in terms of analysing a fight. And, Floyd's performance last night, it may not have resembled a pub fight. It may not have resembled the barroom brawl that certain casual fans tune in to watch. But if you're a boxing fan, if you appreciate the sport and appreciate the technique, it was perfect. I mean, the movement, the defence, the technical ability shown by Mayweather was, truly, truly world class. And I think it was a dominant performance. I mean, in terms of where they go from here, it's difficult. I understand Mayweather's going to vacate all the belts. For me, Floyd is still very much at the top of the sport. He's answered all the questions he needs to answer. In his last fight or two, is he going to take on young lions, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Keith Thurman? Or is he going to, try and take on sort of legacy-defining fights? Is he going to try and win a middleweight title against someone like Miguel Cotto? It's interesting to see what approach he's going to take. Manny Pacquiao, I'm starting to wonder whether he should maybe call it a day. He looked desperate when he was trying to suggest he won the fight last night. He's obviously just had a massive payday. Is it best, he's a guy with huge other interests, other sport, politics, lifestyle interests. Perhaps he'd be better off focusing on those rather than getting punched in the face for a living. Because, his style is not one that ages well. He's not like a Mayweather or a Hopkins. Someone who relies on output, someone who relies on speed. Perhaps ages worse than a Mayweather who relies on defence and technique. This is why Hopkins, Tony, etc. have been able to continue in the sport with levels of success to a more mature age. I could see Pacquiao fighting Kell Brook maybe. Obviously, Pacquiao may want to get a belt back, and that would be the obvious route to do it. It's interesting. Let me know your thoughts on the fight. Let me know your scorecards. I'm interested to discuss. Thanks very much for watching.